Today we're going to be taking a look at a case that has simplicity, functionality, and won't be too hard on your wallet. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of JoesTech. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Focus G from Fractal Design. If you guys have been following along on the channel, I did a video a couple weeks back called Build It, and basically I provided a little bit of insight on some of the newer hardware that's out and a potential build that you guys could do for a certain budget. And within that build, I mentioned the Focus G, and there was a little bit of feedback of some people who kind of hadn't heard about this case. It obviously has only been out for a few weeks now. So I reached out to Fractal Design, and they were kind enough to send me a sample unit so that I could share that with you guys on the channel. Now, I spent probably the last, week or so kind of messing around with this case, getting an idea of how it would work in a build, or trying to find any flaws in it. It's a pretty budget case, which we can kind of talk about at the end of the video, but I was pretty pleasantly surprised with what you get for the price that you pay for this case. So that being said, why don't we go ahead and dive in and kind of take a look at what you actually get with this case. This is the Focus G. At first glance, you might easily mistake it for just another average ATX mid-tower case. But when you really take a closer look, you realize the amount of research and time that went into designing a truly functional entry-level case. The Focus G has a footprint of 205mm wide by 444mm long and stands at a height of 464mm. The case weighs in at roughly 4.5 kilograms, or a little under 10 pounds. The exterior of the case is sporting a nice satin mesh front panel wrapped in a clean, glossy bezel. At the front of the case, we have a front I/O including power and reset buttons, hard drive indicator light, audio connections, one USB 2.0 and one USB 3.0 Type A connection. Moving over to the display side of the case, we have our side panel with a large protruded acrylic window. Both front and rear doors are held in place with two thumb screws that can be backed out without removing them from the panel to help you keep track of them when performing maintenance. Inside the case, the first thing you may notice is the removable 3.5-inch drive enclosure near the bottom. This enclosure comes pre-populated with two slide-out plastic drive trays. This is the only location in the case for 3.5-inch drives, but there's a mounting point right behind the motherboard tray opposite the power supply. I think we've all run into that issue of having to connect the SSD or hard drive halfway across the case due to its mounting point being in an awkward location. I think this is a great spot and smart of Fractal to make the 3.5-inch enclosure removable for those of you planning to use just M.2 or SSD storage rather than spinning drives. At the top right of the case, we can see they've also included dual 5¼ drive bays, which are not removable but also don't take up too much room in the case. I would guess they probably did this to help with rigidity of the case. For ventilation in the Focus G, we have a full dust filter located permanently in the removable front bezel. This case includes two of Fractal's Silent Series LL 120mm white LED fans, which come pre-installed also behind that front bezel. At the top of the case inside, we have some custom fan filters that are held in place using the standard fan screws. Each filter has mounting holes to match the case in a dual 120 or 140mm orientation. Although these are a really nice addition to the case and seem to be well built, keep in mind when you have fans installed inside the case up top, the filters will be sandwiched between the case and the fans, making maintenance a little bit more lengthy. To finish filtration off, we have a pretty basic pre-cut screen installed at the bottom of the case. It's also worth noting the case does support one 120mm fan at the rear and one 120mm fan at the bottom of the case. For those of you looking to add a custom loop into your build, this case does have the space to fit a 240mm radiator at the top and either a 240mm or 280mm radiator at the front. If you do plan to add a 280mm radiator at the front, you will need to keep the bottom 5¼ bay empty to allow the top of the radiator to slip in accordingly. In addition to all the radiator and cooling options, this ATX case also supports mini ATX boards and of course ITX boards. I did notice they pre-stamped the metal to identify where the motherboard standoffs need to be installed according to the size of the board you plan to install, which I thought was kind of a nice addition. Cable management shouldn't really be an issue in the Focus G thanks to the also protruding rear door on the case. This also allows for a little forgiveness when you're doing a fresh build and you rush into cabling and you leave that fancy rat's nest tucked in the back door for nobody to see. Well, hopefully that gave you guys some good insight on what type of hardware you're getting with the Focus G. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, this is going to be a pretty light hit on your wallet, being that it's priced only at $59 US. Of course, I'll leave all the links for that stuff in the description below if you guys want to check this case out further. But for that price point, I think you're really getting a quality built case. Obviously, there's a few other cases out there in the same price point that have a few other aesthetics that this case maybe doesn't have. Two of them that I could think of right off the bat are the PSU shroud and, of course, the tempered glass side panel, which I know a lot of people are going to mention. But here's the thing, right? When you look at some of those other cases that are in that $69, $79 price point, I'm going to guess a lot of them are really just aesthetically pleasing cases, right? When you go look at the internals of those cases, they're probably really simple. I don't think they have nearly the design that this case is going to have, with the thought into, drive placement, and of course the removable cages and the amount of air filtration that they put into the case. I don't think a lot of those other cases that have those visuals included are going to have a lot of that stuff, and so I think that's a big win for Fractal. Now, one thing that would be nice, obviously, I am a big fan of the tempered glass. It would be nice if there was an option to pay for that additional upgrade, maybe. Who knows, maybe we'll see something like that down the road. Now, I am curious what your thoughts are on this case as far as, what you get for the price point. Do you guys think there's something that's missing, or maybe there's something that I actually forgot to mention in the video? If you guys have anything to say, feel free to leave that in the comment section below. Of course, a huge thanks to Fractal Design for sending me this case for me to review and share with you guys. If you guys did enjoy the video, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up. If you hated it, you can leave me a thumbs down. I'm okay with it. And of course, if you guys want to see more tech videos like this in the future, feel free to hit that subscribe button. Until next time, guys, this has been JoesTech. I'll see you in the next one.